before I started this recording, before I started this session. So I've never seen the hand before. I'm just gonna get right into it and then just move through it. Might actually be a long day today. I'm not sure. And then something else that we're gonna do is probably complete the daily tasks, the daily challenges over at PokerStars, the football fever challenges. There's a couple that we should be continuing, but maybe I'm gonna do this in a episode 90 then. So we're gonna do a coaching it up session, and maybe afterwards, if we have time, we might do grinding it up number 90 and then do some task completion. So welcome everybody to this live stream. Let's get started with some boom hands, shall we? So this is a hand that was sent to us by the King now, and he's playing 25 NL on the Hydra. He's trying to cut the heads of the Hydra. So he opens fairly deep. That should make up for some interesting content. I like that. And that's a very ambitious open from Under the Gun, I guess. I mean, it's by no means a standard open. It's like, gonna be a standard fold for sure at most tables. But don't ask me. I mean, I'm opening all sorts of stuff, especially if it's suited, so I can't blame you for that. So you get 3-bet by this guy, you're fairly deep, and you elect to flat call. That's going to be a hand that's going to get you into a lot of trouble, especially when you're deep stacked. But I mean, if you feel like you can play well post flop and you can basically have some reads or specific dynamics with the villain, maybe you can get away with it, but by standard means it's definitely going to be too loose, and it's probably going to end up being a losing play, especially with your loose opening range here. So I guess this is probably a candidate for a bluff 4-bet. But then again, if you're so deep, if you 4-bet this, you can still flat call a ton of hands. So I'm not a fan. Not a fan of flatting this. I mean, I would definitely flat stuff like 5-6 suited or 7-5 suited or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, those are the types of flops that if you don't flop the flush draw is pretty much a backup here, so that's sweet. But if you don't flop the flush draw, that's going to be a headache. It's going to be a headache spot for sure. So what are you going to do? You want to check raise this board? I mean, you could, and I'm curious if you do. I mean, I guess check raising probably overplays this, but you're pretty much bound to check calling this. I mean, if anybody has some comments in the chat, please just feel free to comment on this. But I guess this is going to be a fairly standard check call then. Now we make 2 pair, but still against the 3-betting range of a player that 3-bets and Under the Gun open. We're not feeling comfortable about a hand. I mean, he's going to have all the king queens and maybe even, I'm not sure if they 3-bet king jack but king queen for sure. And then he has kings, queens, jacks, and other hands still have a ton of equity. Now you turn 2 pair, and now it's gonna get interesting. I mean, we can get value from thinking about getting value from ace king, but to be honest, I think still if we raise this, most hands that are going to give us action are going to be the ones that have us crushed, or that we still will be drawing against. So I think you have to check call, which I think it's fine. And now the river is sweet, of course, and we have options here. I guess we could donk all in. I guess he's going to check back a decent amount of ace king and 2 pair in sets. So I guess we got to bet somehow. I guess we got to bet this. I'm not sure. I mean, he bets it for us, but I wouldn't rely on it. I guess most people will be checking back aces and ace king a lot because they get scared. I mean, you should definitely be scared with aces and ace king. But if you think that he's a bluffing type, of course, you can have him continue bluffing. So, you could do that. And you check shove all in, and I'm curious to see what he had. He had a straight. Well, that's certainly a hand I expect to get all the money in against anyways. But, it's a very, very ambitious open, and it's an ambitious call preflop. I think they're probably minus EV. Then again, with reads, with dynamic, you could get away with it. But I wouldn't rely on it, to be honest, because like the types of hands that you flop with that, you know, if you don't flop the flush draw, you're not going to be feeling well about your two pair there, because you're going to pay off all the biggest hands in his range. So I guess that's like, yeah, you know, I'm probably fine on the open, but I'm not that fine on the flat call out of position against a strong 3-betting range mostly. But, well, interesting and nonetheless, and nice that you won it. I guess betting the river here is probably a little bit better. I'm not sure of that. There's a lot of hands that kind of go for 3 streets here. I would expect like even jacks or king queen to sometimes check back this river because they get scared. They're gonna put you on a flush some of the time at least. So, you know, well, anyways, let's move on. For a change, this is gonna be a tourney hand from Steve Opic. And Steve, you're in the chat, right? Did I see that? Nice. Yes, that's you. That's you. So sweet. Sweet you're around, and thanks for sending in the hand. Let's have a look at this one. So you have a suited ace on the button in a tournament. This is like a 10-cent, 360-man turbo tournament, and you're on the button, and you have a suited ace, so I don't see a reason not to play this. Yes. Limping behind. I think, I mean, you know, in cash games I would mostly raise this, but in a live cash game I would probably limp this. So I like limping behind here. In a tourney, I guess suited aces play well in position, and it's going to be a multi-way pot, exactly the type of situation you want to be in with your suited ace. So flop, top, and bottom, that's sweet. That guy overbets. Wow. So limp. Everybody limped around. Pretty unlikely for anybody to have ace king here, I guess. I mean, some 10-cent players might limp ace king. I'm not sure about that. We have blockers to pocket fours. We have a blocker to pocket fours, so you know, I would be fairly certain we have the best hand here, and we should look to extract a lot of value. So given the overbet, we could call, but calling also entices people with flush draws to stick around, and we would hate to see. I mean, we could still call and then save around 1,000 chips if a spade rolled off. So I guess calling should be fine. Maybe this guy's bluffing and he just wants to get the money in. I mean, you shove. I can't blame you for that. I think that's fine. I guess calling is fine too, and then just saving 1,000 chips when a spade rolls off, because the only real card that we're afraid of is going to be a spade, I guess. I mean, sometimes you can have something like an ace-x and he might make better to pair, but we can't avoid that. So, I mean, we could play this a little bit safer and just save some chips. If a spade rolls off, we fold and we save 1,000 chips, and even if he's bluffing, if he has a bluffing range there, you could probably have him still bluff off the rest on the turn. So, I mean, shoving or calling would be fine. I guess calling is... I'd prefer calling a little bit. And, well, you do suck out on ace-king with a 4. And he actually had ace-king, so that's what I said in the beginning. I haven't looked at the hand, but it's just funny that I say, I mean, in a 10-cent tournament, I do expect some... It's just, like, funny that I see 10-cent people, you know, they have ace-king, and they probably just think of a way to play it tricky, and then they limp behind a limper, which doesn't really make much sense, but they do it nonetheless. But I guess, yeah, I mean, as I said, I think there's a strong argument for calling, just calling on the flop. I mean, you do invite people with a flush draw to stick around, but then also you know that every spade is going to be bad for you, so you can save 1,000 tourney chips. And then I think in a tournament situation, it's important to realize that saving chips is more important. I mean, in cash games, profit is most important, and you're trying to max out on the money you win every single situation over and over again. But in a tourney, I guess you can just try and save chips in some high variance situations, and this might be one of them. So I guess, I mean, if he overbets, you might have stuff like queen 10 of spades or jack 10 of spades, or, you know, queen jack of spades. Makes sense. And then when a bad turn card like a spade comes, you can fold. When a good card like this one comes, you're like, bam, we just snap this off. Yeah, I mean, sweet that you still won. All right, next one. This is a 50 NL hand by Suit Up R65, and he has kings on the button. And again, we have a fairly deep stacked hand. That could get interesting. Yeah, that's getting interesting because, as I said, you know, we're deep, and this guy with 140 bigs? Yeah, no, 240 bigs actually. He cold 4-bets us. with quite a big size. And question is, what are we gonna do? This this guy calls. Interesting, interesting. Let me take a sip out of my water bottle. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, what's going on here? Seriously, this guy's gonna have a strong range, I think. He might still be bluffing, of course, but you're quite deep. Not sure. I mean, if you have history with this guy, maybe he could have a bluffing range there, maybe not. Not sure. Not that deep, not with that size. Not sure. Not sure. This guy, probably a weaker player. If it's a regular, I would expect him to have aces a lot there. So that might be an argument to actually fold kings, but I don't fold kings for 100 bigs. So be happy to get in against this guy. I don't think he's folding like ever, and we just got to knock out this guy, so we will be happy about that. I don't think flatting is good, so I just... Ah, you flatted. You know, well, you can certainly play the hand in position, don't get me wrong, but you're going to end up on a lot of... You're going to end up in a headache on a lot of boards against two people, even though you're in position. And you're just handing out free flops to them. Like anybody with tens or jacks might just easily outflop you, and they have the proper implied odds to stack off, I guess. So, you know, I just stick it in there, I guess, or just five bet. Yeah, 5 bet to something like 30 bucks, because this guy has 100, so he might still think about shoving with something like ace king or pocket queens, and he might still stack him. So, you know, I'd make it 30, 32, 30, 34, something like that to just try and isolate, even though it looks strong. Now he jams, and yeah, obviously you're not folding. This guy jams too, and not super happy, but given the board texture and given that he might have queens and he might be bluffing or doing some random stuff as a recreational player, yeah, I mean, not folding post flop. Whoa, we're folding post flop. Nah, I hate folding too much. Nope, that's the hashtag I hate folding. I'm looking. Let me see if I can get the paperwork. I don't have I hate folding anymore. I have like some different hashtags like Fischige Spieler and stuff, but I can't find I hate folding, so I gotta do the I hate folding again. But I definitely hate folding here. I don't like it, and I'm curious to see if somebody has aces in that spot, and this guy actually has aces. Well, so nice fold in the end, but to be honest, I wouldn't have folded pre-flop. I would have definitely tried to isolate this guy if, as it seems, he seems to be a recreational player, and this guy doesn't necessarily have to have aces in that spot just because he called 4 bets there. I mean, you can certainly have ace, king, and queens, so I think you should be making money on that spot, not folding pre-flop. And some question from the chat. Is it okay if we send you full ring hands as well? Sure, anything. Like, if you want me to comment on your hands, I can do that. I'm not an expert on full ring poker. Well, maybe live poker. Doing fairly well in Vegas live cash games, but apart from that, haven't got much full ring online experience. But, well, if you want me to comment, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah, that's like, you know, hashtag Fischige Spieler, hashtag I hate folding. Like, kings and aces, what can we do? What can we do? I mean, if this guy has aces, he has aces, and we have kings, and we're losing all our money, and if it's the other way around, he's losing all his money, so what point is there in making a fold like that if you can still make money from other hands? And you can especially make money from a guy like this, who makes speculative calls like that. Yep. Let's move on. Another one by Suit Up. 9-7 suited, one of my favorite hands. Great one to open. Gets opened. Guy on the cutoff flats. And again, like these deep hands, they're sweet. I like those deep hands. C-bet. Well, you know, 9 high. Doesn't win often at showdown. So I guess betting is appropriate. I mean, we can't really improve much, but... And the guy has position on us, so two arguments against c-betting, but sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, and if the flow tells you to bet, then why not bet? And now, now you're getting wound up in trying to barrel them off like, you know, pocket sixes, fives, ace four, whatever. You keep on barreling and you still have 9 high. It's probably going to be a triple or a give up. And backdoor flush, trying to rep that. That's an interesting bet size on the river. So I guess you're basically trying to represent something that bets for thin value, which I can definitely understand. But then again, to be honest, I think that a lot of people will either call this with like pocket nines and also sometimes turn their hand into a bluff against that size. So I'm not sure if I like it. I mean, if you were to bluff or try and represent a backdoor flush, I would probably bet bigger. But that's just me. Curious to see, curious to see what happens now. Now this guy raises and he makes it a small raise. Yeah, I mean, he could be picking up on your small bet size and just doing this as a bluff. And I guess what this hand is going to be about, I'm not sure, but like, by the way, I so let me get this straight. I don't know suit up R65, but by the types of hands that you're sending in, I'm trying to pick up some reads on you here, and I think you're gonna plan to do something crazy here, because I guess you feel like this guy might be raising some weaker hand for thin value, or you might actually be bluffing himself with like a flush draw or something like that. And then like I haven't seen the hand, so this might be completely off, or this might be good. But I just by the reads that I'm getting on this these suit up hands, I think suit up, Mr. Suit Up, I think you're gonna go do something crazy here. Yeah, that's what I expected. It's kind of the stuff that I expected, and I'm like, you know, going by the reads, I think you're gonna be successful. Because going by my read that you just sent in the king's hand where you made an incredible fold, I guess you're gonna be successful with this one. I'm not sure. Yeah, he folds. So awesome. I mean, if you do stuff with reads, and if you do stuff with like, you know, go with the flow like Suit Up does here, I can't really say anything about this. This is like, it works, so it's awesome. Do what works, whatever, in poker. That's like, I'm all up for that. If you feel like the flow works in your favor, and if kind of the stuff that you're doing, you know how people are reacting to that, and not having any problems with that. So let's move on. Next hand is by Fox Ab. This is 25 NL. 25 NL. Again, somebody trying to kill the Hydra. It's tough to kill the Hydra. I've tried it myself. It took me a long time. I think like in grinding it up, I probably even broke even on the Hydra on around 10,000 hands, the first 10,000 hands that I played. Alright, I mean, feel free to comment on anything in the chat. We're going to do a very relaxed streaming today. The good thing when I stream and I don't have to play is I have more time to talk to you guys and have some fun and not really be focusing on anything else. Yeah, Max Cruiser got third in WSOP 36. That's awesome. That's awesome. I also heard that he learned the game only a couple of minutes prior to the tournament from George Danzer, who's running insanely hot right now, and he's crushing the WSOP right now. Can't wait to get over there. Maybe catch a bracelet myself. Not sure. So deuce 4 offsuit, and the big, getting a free play against a recreational player, flopping an open-ended straight draw. I'd probably bet this, you know, just try and take it down. Bet now, that's fine. Yeah. And river, what's gonna be close to the nuts? Bet the river. I mean, yeah, I mean, we gotta think of We got to think of what he calls with on the turn, and I think he's going to call on the turn with a lot of draws, a lot of weak hands, so not sure if we can actually make value or money by betting here on the river, because I just don't think he's going to have an ace often. I'd probably just check and hope that he kind of tries to bluff with a whiffed club or 7-6 or whatever gut shot he might have like, you know, whatever random hand recreational limpers have there, and just go for a check raise, I guess. Now he jams. Ooh, that's ugly. Well, you know, given what I just said, he might be jamming some stuff like 2 pair. So he might actually have paired up with the ace and made something like aces up. He might be slow playing a flush, of course. But if he slow plays a flush, then he might also slow play like a set. And he might also not figure you for a strong hand here since he checked the flop. So I guess, you know, we gotta just grit our teeth and hope. So, oh, you folded. Well, you know my game. I hate folding, and I just don't like to fold in spots where people could view me as very weak. And in that situation, I'm like, you know, he might just stick something like the ace of clubs in. I mean, he would probably bet the ace of clubs, but then again, he would also bet a flush. He would also bet like a set. And if he slow plays flushes, he might as well just slow play some other stuff, and we beat most of that stuff. So even though it's an overbet, it's a recreational player. It's hashtag Fischige Spieler. It's hashtag I hate folding. I definitely need that that other. So we need the other piece of paper. I'm just gonna get something to write. Let me just clear that out of the way before we continue. Here you go. No folding, no folding. So I need that one. Hey, what's up, everybody? Sweet that you joined us. Right, next one. Another one by Fox. Another one from the Hydra. So 10-5 suited. That's a hand that that's a hand I would probably kind of, you know, sometimes fold, sometimes 3-bet, sometimes call. Mostly probably call. Yeah, we got the grinding it up gang hashtag as well on the other side. And here's the I had folding. So we now need the I had folding one. That's going to be the one we need much more. I need a wireless headset for sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's what I'm going to get next. Maybe I'm just going to get a microphone, a big one. Saw there's some sweet ones. I actually saw Nanonoko buying a very nice microphone. I'm going to ask him when I'm in Vegas next week where he got that. So yeah, 10-5 suited, I mean, I don't know, blind on blind, can go either way. You can, against some people I'm going to fold it, against some I'm going to call, against some I'm going to 3-bet, whatever. Calling's probably not too bad. And then just taking a stab at the flop. You know, I expect people not to be folding too much here. When they check an ace high flop, they usually go for a check call at least once, so we gotta be prepared to try and barrel. So he check raises, and I don't know, I'm probably folding here because we have 10 high and some random backdoor draws, and I guess check raising on this board looks fairly strong. Yeah, the computer mouse is awesome. Here we go. This is the ergonomic mouse, and it's really sweet. You take it like this, so it's, you know, it's really sweet. I like it. Keep using it. Yeah, just fold it, I guess. I mean, I hate folding, but this one is gonna be fold for sure. No, you call. No, no, pair fives. guy checks. Weird. We check back, I guess. And the river is the 9 of spades, and he bets more than pot. Well, to be honest, I mean, we shouldn't be in that hand on the flop, past the flop, I guess. But now that we're actually in it and that we did catch the 5, now that we did catch the 5, I think, yeah, I'm definitely up for I hate folding here. And the reason is the guy overbets. So what is he representing when he overbets? He represents like a 9, a flush, or I don't think he's representing an ace, because he's not. I don't think like with an ace he should be scared of the flush. So in that sense, he shouldn't be betting an ace that big of a size, and that makes him polarized. Polarized meaning he either has like complete air, or a flush or a 9. So I guess I'd just, yep, here we go. I had folding. I like it. Yeah, sweet. And the guy tried to represent the king high flush because he had a sweet blocker. And when he has a blocker like that, it's understandable that he goes for that. But yeah, we hate folding there. Right, another one from the Hydra. Another one from the Hydra. The Hydra is just one of those stakes, I guess, that a lot of people are struggling with. I have seen, and so many people, like a lot of students also, that I've coached, they have a lot of problems on the Hydra because it's one of the first stakes where people kind of pull this kind of stuff, you know. It's like this kind of stuff that gives you headaches, where you just think, oh my god, why is this guy doing this? It just doesn't make a lot of sense, and you have to put in big money with like a weak hand, and you hate it. And that's what's causing people headaches on the Hydra, I guess. Let me see. I mean, this is going to be quite a long stream. I decided to make this one of the final streams that I'm doing before I leave for WSOP next week. I'm going to be leaving on Wednesday. So if you see my post somewhere on Twitter, on Facebook, please retweet or share or like or post somewhere in the forums when you're in a community. That would be awesome, because I'm going to be around for quite some time, I guess. It's been half an hour, and I think we'll be around for like half an hour or even more. Right. Yep. So right. Let me check some chat messages. I missed the results of 4 deuce offsuit. What was that? Fox made a fold on the river, and we decided that we hated folding, unless we specifically think that he's always only slow playing a flush and not slow playing sets or stuff like that. And somebody else said, when does the challenge end? The challenge never ends. It never ends. So just keep doing it and keep doing it until we have the 8K, and then even above that. Who knows? So right now the bankroll at the Grinding It Up bankroll is at $3,043, and I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and keep doing what you like and what I like and what we enjoy, and just have fun with this. So no deadline, no more deadline. Cut the deadline. I returned to 200 NL last week when I returned from vacation, and I'm gonna stick to playing my regular table games, and apart from that I'm gonna be streaming and doing some video stuff for you guys as well. Yeah, it was initially, the challenge was set to end 22nd of July, so next month, but I'm going to skip that. We're just going to continue grinding it up. So this hand is by 7th Lion, played on the Hydra. And he flats against a small open. I think the problem with flatting here is that we're going to get squeezed quite a bit. I would fold this hand. You know, that's going to happen fairly often at 25 NL and above, so I don't think we get to see flops cheaply, which sucks. So I guess I'm folding this. But then again, if he flats, we can flat. Even though we're in a sandwich, we have a decent position. And we flop. We flop. Sweet. That's a sweet flop. A lot of options. Definitely not folding. I mean, we could lead, we could check raise, we could do a ton of stuff. And it gets checked around. That's unfortunate. We hate to see this getting checked around because the thing is, we have so much equity on the flop, but as soon as the turn hits, that might change. Which, yeah, I would hate. So I guess, I mean, leading or check raising should be fine. Now, the turn is a sort of a bad card in the sense that it pairs the board, which gives us reverse implied odds for our flush draw if we hit, or the straight. I mean, somebody could have pocket nines. Somebody could make a boat with the king of spades, the ace of spades, the queen of spades, the jack of spades, the 10 of spades, the 8 of spades. We would hate to see that. So I guess, you know, flop's great, turn not so great, but the size, it's so small we have to call. Everything rhymes that I'm saying today. Right, and oh yeah, that would hate to see that play. That looks so incredibly strong. But then again, I mean, he was the guy who 3-bet. So is he really gonna have pocket nines there? I think he's more likely to have, you know, an overpair. So I guess we should just call. I don't think, I mean, the options that we have is to call or to shove, given his stack size. I don't think shoving is good here, because he's never bluffing. He's definitely never bluffing in that spot. I mean, he always has like a super strong range. The question really is, I mean, we do have the odds to call. We only have to pay like $6 into 25, which is better than 1 to 4, or 1 to 4 better. Which means I would call this. And I don't like the shove, to be honest. Because, I mean, this is a board where he's going to have an overpair very, 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 very often. And, I mean, I hate folding for sure, but, I mean, we can just call. Seriously, we don't have to shove this, because I don't think we have full equity on our side. I guess we're getting called here, like always. And he folds! Oops! Oops! Just like that, he folds. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, as I said, I mean, it's one of these spots where I never expect any fold equity at all. I think it's going to be a very, very strong play that he made. And it really surprises me that he folded. I mean, if the 7th lion, if you had some very, very cool read on the guy, then awesome. Because, you know, when I go over hands, I look at them in a vacuum, right? In a vacuum meaning I don't know any of the dynamics, I don't know any of the opponent's tendencies, I don't know anything really about the involved players, and that means that, you know, I'm giving you my view, what I expect from the average player there, and I would have never expected a fold, to be honest. I think this is like an awesome result. We got this guy to fold. I don't know if he folded like an overpair there, that would be horrendous. That would be really horrendous. So I guess, yeah. I mean, nice hand, definitely. So let's move back to 5NL next. This is nines from Max as 888. And he opens pocket nines, gets flat on the button. And flops second pair. Goes ahead and bets. Well, I mean, this is a highly debatable situation. and it can go a lot of different ways. You can check and you can bet. Not a lot of worse hands that call on this flop, but again, picking up the pot right there is also good. Sweet. And he min raises. Okay, interesting. I mean, min raising this kind of flop, it's interesting because there aren't really many strong hands there for him to have, except for like pocket eights, pocket threes, maybe some jack that is just kind of making a race for information. But I guess for the price that we're getting, I would probably just call. Would be a little bit too weak to just fold nines right there. Now he pots it on the turn. And I'm curious, what is he doing this with? So is he raising, you know, you could be raising with a draw. Let's say something like 9-10 comes to mind, but then again, we have 2 nines in our hand. So queen 10 of clubs, maybe, like with a backdoor flush draw. So I guess if you put him on a draw, on the flop or a bluff, it's probably okay to kind of go with your read and go check call. But you know, since he bets pot again, this is one of the spots where he's probably going to be quite polarized, meaning that he either has like a worse hand, like a draw, not a worse hand in terms of equity, but a hand that isn't a made hand yet, or he has the nuts. And I tend at the micro stakes, I tend to not think that people bluff too much, so I guess I would just fold. So here I definitely, I'm gonna do a new one. I mean, I can't believe I just wrote that. No, that's folding on this one. Can't believe I just wrote that, but I gotta do one of these as well. Yeah, he might have, you know, I don't think he's gonna play a jack like this, to be honest. So I think he either has pocket threes or pocket eights. And now that's a very bad card for us, since it completes some of his draws that he could be bluffing with. And I think if we hero here, I mean, I definitely hate folding. You know me, guys. The whole gang knows that I hate folding, but this one is just like, you know, it's probably like too loose if we call this. And we do call. And he has a bluff. He was, I mean, what did I do to you guys? I think I trained you guys to just like never fold anything at all, right? That's a sweet one. I mean, nice hand, nice hand. I would have folded. And I hate folding. I hate folding, and I would certainly have folded. Right. Sweet. That's something that I would have never expected to happen at the micros, so I learned a lot from these two. Okay, next one. So this is from Nashi. Nashi is a PokerSchool Online member. If you aren't already signed up for PokerSchool Online, by the way, or IntelliPoker, I strongly urge you to do that. I have a live training class coming up where I'm going to showcase some of my recent 200 NL Zoom poker hands. So if you have time on next Monday or Tuesday, there's going to be a live training class over there with some of my hands. So, you know, it's pretty easy to register for PokerSchool Online or for IntelliPoker. If you haven't already, you just have to go to your PokerStars client. So just go to PokerStars, open up your client, and then go to the tab PokerSchool. There's one PokerSchool tab, and you can just register. If you're English native speaker or like English speaking country, you can register for PokerSchool Online, and I'm doing a live training class there. And there's going to be IntelliPoker for the German guys. German-speaking guys. Right, kings. Nashi, you 3-bet these kings. Yes, that's the standard play. And you get 4-bet, pretty large size at 2-L. You know, it's time to get it in here. Oh, you were deeper. All right, so it's 1 cent, 2 cent, and we're actually 200 big blinds deep. Yeah, you know, it's 200 BBs deep or even more. You get a little bit reluctant about playing kings for stacks pre-flop, or yeah, you know, I definitely understand. I think though at the micros you shouldn't be too scared with these hands, and I still think there's a lot of value to be gained pre-flop because people could just go crazy with, you know, whatever types of hands they feel are nice hands at the micros. And since it's just $4 or $2 to most recreational players, I think you're fine coming over the top. You're out of position, so you could call, but yeah, I like 5-betting there. I think you could, yeah, I mean 140 is fine actually. It's a fine size, and I guess this guy jams and you call it off. I mean, generally speaking, you could expect aces a fair amount if you get it in 200 BBs deep, and I think there's a good point to saying that calling might be better even when you're out of position, when you're playing that deep. But that depends on the stakes you play, I think, also. So I guess at the micros I am on this camp, and on higher stakes I would not fold, but I would probably also not try to get it in pre-flop, I guess. I think it's fine at 2-L. I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you're uncomfortable playing deep, well, you can always sit out. But I guess at the micros, even in Zoom Poker, if you get it in pre-flop with kings, there's not much fault in that. Well, it certainly is a hand that I can definitely understand that it's quite, you know, you feel bad about getting it in and then seeing aces. But as I said in the other guy's hand, it's just one of these spots where if you're not getting in kings pre-flop, anybody else is going to lose with his kings to aces in that spot. So what happens is just you exchange money, right? So money goes from right to left or left to right, and nothing happens. And if you start folding kings, then somebody with ace-king might profit from you because you fold the better hand. Somebody with queens might say, yay, you just folded kings. So I guess, you know, I don't think it depends on the stakes. So I guess the higher you go, it even sometimes becomes mandatory to just, you know, expect somebody to be bluffing even pre-flop. Like, let's say the same hand had played out at 200 NL. I think there's definitely going to be some bluffs in that guy's range. So we can never really fold kings there. Right, next one. Nashi, you open with ace king off, and you get min 3-bet. That's like the standard micro stakes play. And I think we can go a lot of ways here. We can 4-bet or call. I think calling is good. We're out of position. We get a good price. We don't need to bloat the pot. I mean, sometimes clickback raises can be any two cards, but I mean, we'd be profit if he folds. So I think 4-betting is fine, and if he folds, then we pick up the pot right there, which is nice. If we call, we manage to. If we do flop an ace or king, we might get more money. So I think both plays are fine. I like both. Can't hate on any of them. And we flop the nuts. This is the nuts. And I think we're probably going to check raise this. I'd check raise this, honestly, because I feel like it's a drawy board and any ace is going to give us action. I don't like to see him check back the turn there. And I want to bloat this pot somehow, I think. And also if the ace, if he doesn't have an ace, I doubt he's gonna like completely go insane, because it's pretty likely that you have an ace, and even a recreational player might realize that. So I guess check raising here. 6 on the turn. The guy bets again, and now you go for the raise. Go for the raise! Go for the raise! Sometimes you gotta build a pot. I mean, you can definitely catch bluffs there, but you have the nuts. I mean, the relative nuts. And if he has aces, he has aces, but it's just so rarely, rarely the case that I think bloating the pot is just so important here. And now he bets again, and now you can stick it in still. I think you can still stick it in and get called by ace, queen, ace, jack, ace 10, ace 9, ace, fancy, whatever. At least calling, but I think there's value in a raise. And you called. And he had pocket eights. That's unfortunate. I mean, yeah, against that hand you lost the minimum, but it's also very unlikely. It's just two combinations of hands kind of that really beat you. If he had ace 5 and ace 6, you also counterfeit those on the river, and he might still be calling with an ace. So I guess even though you lost the minimum on this one, which is good, the bad thing, or the bad news about the spot, is you probably cost yourself some value on the long run, because this guy would have called you with an ace here if you had bloated the pot. And well, if it happens to be kind of a situation where you flop top pair top kicker and he flops a set, so be it. Nothing you can do that. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm always getting this in, and I'm never folding. No, not folding. Right, let's move on. Another ace king from Nashi. He opens ace king on the button and gets 3-bet and flats, which, yeah, you can 4-bet, you can flat. You can do a lot of things, but you can never fold, that's for sure. And that's a sweet flop. And like in this dynamic, this is good for us, because in this dynamic, you expect a lot of people to 3-bet bluff. So flopping trips is awesome. And I think you want to have them keep bluffing. And the queen on the turn, it scares a little bit. Just makes you think of what kind of hands you could have. You could probably have like a pocket pair or some stuff that gives up. So I guess I would tricky. Check it back or bet. Both probably fine plays. Bet, if I bet small. Half pot, yeah, why not? And he calls. And the river you just, he shoves. Ooh. Ooh. Well, you know. Okay, I got my three papers here, and you guys will guess what I'm picking. I don't fold there. We have the best trips. I mean, he can have king, queen, and pocket eights there for sure. Check calling the turn is kind of an indicator of him having something like, you know, pocket tens, pocket nines, and sometimes pocket eights. So he might have rivered a boat, a better boat. A boat that beats us, not a better boat, because we don't have a boat. But nah, I can't get myself to fold. Yeah, and you know, it's probably pocket eights or kind of, I don't know, something else. King jack, really? Is he shoving that? I mean, what really strikes me is his turn check call. Like, his turn check call makes it a little bit more likely that it actually isn't bluffing, and that we can make this river fold, because it looks like he has pocket eights a lot. Then again, it's, you know, the micros, and if I'm looking for a tiebreaker, I'm making it this one. So yeah, definitely I hate folding. All right, so we got 4 more to go for this first episode of Coaching It Up. And this is a 50 NL hand from the king now, and he loves to make a lot of loose opens. I get that. I get that. I'm not going to argue with you about pre-flop because, you know, I'm a little bit loose myself. And this is certainly going to be a fold pre-flop, but then the odds were given. Yeah, and this guy calling, I guess. I don't want to look at this one. It's gonna be, well, I mean, yeah, that's a great flop for us. So I have this guy bet, and I'll raise. Yeah, size, okay. I mean, we're pretty deep, so we check raise. We can represent draws here, which is good. And he calls. And I mean, we could actually check the turn. We could actually sometimes check the turn at least, because he might feel a little bit more secure about his hand. I mean, he's definitely hero calling with jack or pocket queens. Sometimes he'll have king jack, sometimes he'll have kings. Sometimes he'll have jacks for sure, maybe sevens, because he flatted pre-flop against that 3-bet. Checking or shoving, both fine plays, I guess. And this guy calls, and we beat queens, so sweet hand. Nothing to see, nothing to say. Pre-flop is like, you know, 7-4 suited, goofy little open. I think a lot of people just turn in late. I'm just gonna make another post. So I would really appreciate if you guys help me out on getting people to look at the stream, maybe, because I'm here for a longer time than usual. I mean, I've already been doing it for an hour, so we got a couple more hands. Retweet, repost, share, whatever you like. Definitely appreciating that. It's gonna do more streams, more posts, more streams in the future. I also think that the next Coaching It Up session could be something like a video review, because I did that earlier for my buddy Mr. Dorson. You can watch that in a previous Grinding It Up episode. Grinding It Up number, I don't know, something in the 60s or 70s maybe. So I might do that again if one of you guys records a video, and we can do a Coaching It Up number 2. Right, so this is a tournament hand. This is a tournament hand, and I think this is going to get real sweet. Right, so this is Queen 10 suited in the small blind, and standard open, I guess. At that stage of the tournament, I mean, that's very deep, so I guess opening a little bigger is probably appropriate. Yeah, I mean, this guy with the queens and the previous hand, that was just... that was just, you know, if he thinks we have a draw a lot, then he can hero call, of course, but he shouldn't even let us into the hand. That's the first problem, I guess. And, you know, against a check raising range multi-way, we're not doing well with queens, so I guess folding the flop isn't that awful. Even though I hate folding, I think folding flop is probably reasonable for the villain. Right, so the next one here with Queen 10 suited. Flop 2 overs and a flush draw, backdoor flush draw, and probably c-bet. I would probably c-bet smaller than 1,000. That's more than half pot, and we got to save a little bit of money. I guess I'd probably like bet something like 800 or 750 or so, like the same size I bet pre-flop. Probably going to do the same job. And turn, that's a great turn. Yeah, we got to barrel this. So, half pot. and he calls. And the river is a jack. And I think I'll just barrel this, honestly. I mean, we can still bet something like, I don't know. I mean, if he calls here, I think he's gonna have quite a number of hero calling hands. Most of the pocket pairs are ace X. I don't know if he has ace X here. Ace deuce, ace 3, maybe. Ace 5, ace 4. With a backdoor flush draw, maybe. That's tough. I mean, the turn is a so and so card to barrel because it pairs the board, but it gives us more equity. So I guess betting should be fine, just given our equity. Jack on the river is sort of. I think I'd prefer bluffing here, but I'm curious to see. I don't actually know what he did, but you know, this is a little bit of a spoiler. The guy bet this river, and it's interesting because that bet kind of polarizes the villain's range again. Talked about this earlier. It's kind of the spot where when he bets, he probably has like a deuce or pocket threes or pocket eights, because he can't really have a jack that often, and he can't really be value betting with like an eight. That would be super sick if he value bet an eight here. So I guess you know. I think it's understandable that we called and picked up a bluff by 6-5 offsuit, which is sweet. That definitely goes into Camp I Hate Folding. So welcome to Camp I Hate Folding, Mr. Jizman. That's that's a sweet hand. The result is awesome. There's like a couple of these hands. It's just like the results are awesome, but I doubt that some of these lines or the betting patterns are kind of profitable in the long run. But then again, you know my game. You know my attitude. Right, another tourney hand here. I gotta study for tournaments. I gotta tell you guys, because I got 1 week left until WSOP, so I definitely gotta get ready for tournaments here. So it's a good training for me. So I'm gonna go into hero call mode in tournaments and just hope for the best, right? Right. So jacks from Mr. Condorcet. This was from the Scoop 22 low event. He min raised in early position and got. And flops an overpair, which he bets for 900. I think that's fine. Turn is a deuce, doesn't change much. So I guess this guy, when he flats on the button, probably has like some ace X type hands, some pocket pairs, maybe some floats with overcards. I think we have a bet here. Yeah, good point by Porsche. GT said that the problem with the queen eye is that we don't even beat all the bluffs, and I agree. I mean, he could be bluffing with king high. He could even sometimes be turning ace high into a bluff. He could be turning like a small pair into a bluff. Some people do, especially recreational players. So that's right. We don't really beat a lot of the bluffs. I guess, like, you know, in hindsight, I guess betting yourself the river on the river is probably going to be better. So I would just, you know, if you wanna win the pot with the queen eye, just, you know, keep on betting. Just bet on the turn here. I think that's a little bit big. That looks very strong. I would go for like 1.6k or something like that. 1.7, 1.8k. 1.8k I think I'd go. But that's like a lot. And the guy shoves. Ooh. Ew. So what can you be shoving here? You know, we got to be thinking about what kind of hands he shoves. Probably something like, if he has a draw, something like, you know, if he floats the flop with some stuff with a backdoor flush draw, that stuff he could be semi-bluffing here. So let's say he flatted the flop with something like king, queen of clubs, or floated with the ace high flush draw, the ace of clubs, something of clubs. Then again, if he flats on the button against an early position raise, I think his range is more skewed towards pocket pairs, mostly pocket pairs and suited connectors. So I guess the only hands that we really beat probably are like some backdoor clubs. And given that we also bet so incredibly big, close to the pot, I am not sure if I like calling this off, because since we bet so big, the opponent actually put us in a strong hand and then say, you know, we're not folding, so this might actually end up being in the camp I like folding. And yeah, I think given that we bet so big, I think I like folding, because I don't think that against that big of a size, the villain might just put us in a very, very strong hand and just think that we're not folding. So I think I would save my tourney life here probably. And I mean, pocket fives could certainly be semi-bluffing. Pocket deuces can call the flop and then turn a set, but there is no reason for him to be fast playing that. So I guess he... Then again, you know, maybe the villain here, maybe the hero in the hand thought that why would the guy be shoving if he had a really strong hand? I can definitely understand that reasoning, that thought process. So I can also understand the call in the end. It's like, you know, he's probably just gonna put him on a bluff. But then again, given the size that you picked, or that hero picked in the hand, I just feel like it's gonna end up being a strong hand too much, because he thinks like, since we bet so big, we're not folding. And yeah, he had a straight, and he had like the ace X of clubs, which was unfortunately the ace 5 of clubs, which sucks because he had a straight, and even had the steel wheel draw, which is always a good draw. Yep. I mean, I think this is a bet sizing issue on the turn, and the bet sizing makes it such that I expect not many bluffs. Like, had we bet smaller on the turn and the guy would have raised us, I think I would be more likely to kind of expect some semi-bluffs or bluffs. All right. Last hand for now, or one of the last hands, unless you guys have more. So this is from You're Getting Taxed. 2 cent, 5 cent, no limit. Button raise, Jack 10 suited in the big blind. Sweet hand, wants to see a flop. Wants to see a flop. And villain c-bets, we flop a gutter. Now, what do we want to do with our gutter? I think our gutter is a little bit too bad to check call. So it's either going to be a fold against that big of a bet, or maybe check raise. That's what You're Getting Taxed did. He check raised the flop. That's okay, I guess. Don't mind it. 5 on the turn. When villain calls, he probably has a lot of king X. So either we continue bluffing or we give up. And it seems like You're Getting Taxed bet again. I would probably personally size bigger here, just for some more fold equity, and also to kind of threaten an all-in, because if we bet $1 and he calls, there's going to be 4 behind and there's 3 in the pot. So a river shove would be a slight overbet. I guess the good thing would be to bet bigger, like 140, and just try and exert more fold equity that way. Oh, that's sweet. And well, now you see the problem. We got 4 behind and 376 in the pot, so shoving is a slight overbet. I still think that You're Getting Taxed shoved, and he bet the pot, and the villain called, and sweet hand, and he called you down with a king jack. So nice hand, sweet pot, very nice, very nice. Yeah, a lot of sweet hands, a lot of nice hands, a lot of good reads that you guys made. I think I made you some really prudent members of Camp I Hate Folding. We should keep train that. Sometimes, of course, we gotta revert back to making profitable folds. I know that. Would a diamond turn be good to barrel or not? Well, certainly would. Yes, yes, yes. You could barrel that. You could represent diamonds. You can try that at least. I mean, if you do decide to bluff the flop, which I think is tricky against some people, because people are not folding a king at micro stakes. I just think that generally speaking, you shouldn't be bluffing too much at micro stakes with draws, with weak draws, like good draws, like flush draws and open-ended. I think it's good, but you know, people at micros, they get sticky with hands, and I think you shouldn't